Hello everyone, my name is Sarafi and I'm happy to meet you all. I am sick and this is going to be a painful video, but let's just go ahead and get through it because I have been working for 2 weeks to build this deck and I am going to get some content out of it. This is Crystal Beasts. It is a 60 card pile. Crystal Beasts is insanely expensive, and the worst part of that insane expense is that the actual Crystal Beast cards, of which there are like 6 URs, don't do anything. You have to have an engine to make the Crystal Beasts actually function, because the cards themselves are, there's a lot of support and they do a lot of cool things where you can flood the board, Xyz, Link, do other interesting stuff, but you cannot make just a pure Crystal Beast list work. It just doesn't work. So that's why the deck is 60 cards, and let's talk about it. So for the hand traps, we are playing 3 copies of Max C. Very important in a non-grass 60 card deck, because you just need to be able to draw into some resources. 3 copies of Ash Blossom and Joyous Springs. We are playing 2 copies of Triple Tactics Talent. Typically speaking, Triple Tactics Talent is a card that I will use when my opponent has Max C'd me and I haven't started my turn. I'm just going to look at their hand, shuffle a card back, and then pass. Make sure that I can live the turn. That's my plan typically with Triple Tactics. 2 copies of Called by the Grave. The deck is very good except when it gets hand trapped, so it's nice to have Called by the Grave to stop Ash. Forbidden Droplet at 3. Forbidden Droplet is extremely good in Crystal Beasts because it allows you to, it lets you send your face-up Crystal Beast monsters to the graveyard, and that's just solid. You will always have more cards than your opponent has monsters in Crystal Beast decks. So, Droplet, Ace card. 2 copies of Infinite Impermanence, just because we want to be able to shut things off at the start of the turn. So that's the hand trap core. What is that? 3, 6. 8, 10, 13, 15. It's part of the reason why the deck was so expensive. But, I mean, these cards form a shell that allows you to essentially play your turn out, which is what you want to do. You want to be uninterrupted for as long as possible. So, all of those cards are important. Now, let's take a look at the main deck. So, we're playing a Snake Eyes package. We have 1 copy of Snake Eyes Ash, 1 copy of Snake Eye Oak, 1 copy of Snake Eyes Poplar, 1 copy of Snake Eyes Flamberge Dragon, 3 Diabellstar the Black Witch, 1 copy of Divine Temple of the Snake Eyes, 1 copy of Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils, and 1 copy of Original Sinful Spoils Snake Eyes. So, there's multiple reasons for playing Snake Eyes in this deck. Primarily speaking, though, what you want to do with Snake Eyes is you want to bait everything. You start with your Snake Eyes combo. Your opponent assumes that you're playing just a pure Snake Eyes deck or a Snake Eyes Fire Kings deck. They will devote a lot of resources to stopping you from finishing your turn. And Snake Eyes has a lot of gas. It's very difficult to stop a Snake Eyes player from developing a board entirely. So, if you eat an Ash, if you eat an Effect Veil, or if you eat an Imperm, if you eat a Call by the Grave, that's good for you, because typically speaking, you can do the full combo without using your normal summon, and then you can go into your Crystal Beast turn. So, Snake Eyes is like the perfect bait for this deck. The deck is very vulnerable to disruption. So if you have this core that can just go off, and your opponent just says no, stop, especially if they Nibiru you, and it's very possible that a Snake Eyes player will Nibiru, or not. That if they think you're playing Snake Eyes, they will Nibiru you at some point. And if you get Nibiru'd before you even summon a Crystal Beast, that's excellent for you. And if you don't get Nibiru'd, well, you can summon Appaloosa and then you're Nibiru-proof. So, just a good, solid core. If you don't know how the deck works for Snake Eyes, Snake Eye Ash lets you draw Poplar. Poplar, if it's added to the hand, you can special summon it, and then when it's added to the when it's normal special summon, you can add a Snake Eyes spell or trap from your deck to your hand, which is going to be your Divine Temple of the Snake Eyes. You activate Divine Temple of the Snake Eyes, that plays Oak from your deck, and then you activate Ash's effect. You send Ash and Oak to the graveyard to special summon Flamberge Dragon. Then you link Flamberge Dragon off, and when Flamberge Dragon goes to the graveyard, it revives 2 monsters from your graveyard. You choose Ash and Oak. Poplar will be in your graveyard because you either played Link Karibo or you made it IP with it. and then you, when Oak is revived, then Oak revives the third copy, so you get 3 monsters out by sending your Flamberge Dragon to the graveyard, which allows you to make a good Link 4 play, and we'll see it in the replay. So that's the basics of how the Snake Eyes package works. Now we talk about the Crystal Beasts. Oh, real quick, before we talk about Crystal Beasts, let's talk about the other package we're running in the deck, which is the Springens package. We're playing 1 copy of Springens Rocky, 1 copy of Springens Kit, 1 copy of Springens Tally Ho, and then Springens Merrymaker and Gigantic Champion Sargus. So these cards, these 2 cards do not matter at all. They have effects, but those effects never go off. You primarily have them in the deck as bodies. What does matter is Merrymaker. Springens Merrymaker, rank 4, a machine monster, requires any 2 level 4s. If this card is special summoned from your extra deck, you can send 1 Springens monster from your deck to the graveyard. So you Exceed into Merrymaker using usually like Sapphire Pegasus and Topaz Tiger. Mill the Rocky. Then you can, once per turn, you can Exceed summon a Gigantic Champion Sargus by using a Springens monster you control as material. So you take the 2 material Merrymaker, rank it up into Sargus. While this card has material, you can add 1 Springens or Therion card from your deck to your hand once per turn. So you will add the Tally Ho. And Tally Ho is the big card. Tally Ho, Springens. When you activate this card, you can also detach up to 3 materials from monsters you control. Add 1 Springens monster from your deck to your hand. Then if you detach any materials at activation, you can special summon that many Springens monsters from your hand or graveyard. So, what you do is you make the Merrymaker, you Exceed into Rocky, or you Exceed into Merrymaker, you mill Rocky, then you add Kit to your hand with the Tally Ho. Then you detach 3 materials from your Sargus, which includes the Merrymaker, and then Tally Ho will allow you to revive Merrymaker and Rocky and special summon Kit from your hand, which allows you to then make a Link 4. So any 2 level 4s gets you a Link 4. That's very, very useful for this deck. So that's the package. It's really simple. You don't want any of these cards in your hand, which is part of the reason why we're playing 60 cards. It's okay if Springens is in your hand, I guess. Or Tally Ho is in your hand. You don't want either of these cards in your hand, though. Alright. There we go. So that is the, that's the other core. Alright, great. Let's talk about our Crystal Beasts. First up, we have Crystal Beast Amethyst Cat. How Crystal Beasts work. Every Crystal Beast has the ability to crystallize itself. Crystallizing is, if the card is destroyed, you can place it in your spell and trap zone face up as a continuous spell card with no effect. But it means that the card is on the field for various purposes. Primarily, one of the things that we like to do is we'll like to send them with Forbidden Droplet, or we can also send them with Original Sinful Spoil Snake Eyes. So the Crystal Beast spell and traps are really nice. We're playing 1 copy of every Crystal Beast that's not important so that we can trigger them. Amethyst Cat can attack directly, but it has half attack points. Bad. Ruby Carbuncle. When this card is special summoned, you can special summon as many Crystal Beast monster cards as possible from your spell and trap zone. That is an effect that can miss timing, but it's a very, very powerful card and allows you to summon like 4 cards from your spell and trap zone. Ruby Carbuncle's effect is so good that we will essentially probably never get any Crystal Beast monsters ever again. They gave us Over Dragon, or Rainbow Dragon, Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, but that was like the only card they really want to give us. So it's not like we're gonna get like a retrain of Pegasus because Ruby Carbuncle is too good. Yeah, we're playing this at 1. What you do with this card is you'll draw it with your, you'll usually draw it with, like, Crystal Bond, and then you'll play Golden Rule, and we'll talk about that when we get there. Crystal Beast Emerald Tortoise. Once per turn, you can target 1 monster you control that attacked this turn and change that target to defense position. Level 3, 2,000 defense points. All of that is bad. Amber Mammoth, level 4, 1,700 attack, 1,600 defense. When another Crystal Beast monster you control is targeted for an attack, you can change the attack target to this card. Awful. But it is level 4, which means you can use it as Xyz material. Better than the other ones. Topaz Tiger, if this card attacks a monster, it gains 400 attack during the damage step only. Terrible, but it's level 4. Cobalt Eagle. Once per turn, you can target a Crystal Beast card you control and place it on top of your deck. That is interesting because it allows you to potentially draw into a card that you put into your spell and trap zone if you put it back on top of your deck and then draw a card. There's not too many situations where that would be really useful, but you do have number 60 Dugar as the timeless in your X deck for this reason. So if it comes up, then it comes up. Then the card that we actually care about, we play 3 copies of this, Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus. This is a level 4 Wind Beast monster with 1800 attack points and 1200 defense points. When this card is normal or special summon, you can play with 1 Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up in your spell trap zone as a continuous spell. That is a not once per turn effect, not once per chain effect. So if you summon 2 Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus at the same time, you can trigger both of them, but it does miss timing, which is really annoying. So this is an insane card. One of the main ways that we use this is we will normal summon Sapphire Pegasus and then use it to place Rainbow Dragon in our spawn trap zone, and then Rainbow Dragon uses its effects to get us either Topaz Tiger or Amber Mammoth, and we start making some Xyz plays. Another card in the deck is Gameciel, the Sea Turtle Kaiju. If you're When your opponent activates a card or effect except Gameciel, the Sea Turtle Kaiju, you can remove 2 counters from anywhere on the field, negate the activation, and if you do, banish the card that was activated. So it's an Omni-Negate that is not once per turn, which is absurd. I'm trying to think of like another Omni-Negate that's not once per turn in the entire game, and I can't think of any. Omni-Negates are very, very powerful. So an Omni-Negate that's not once per turn is definitely worth going out of your way to play. And as you'll see in the replay, this card, it takes some heavy lifting. But you can make it work. Alright, Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon. You can banish this card, treat it as a continuous spell to special summon 1 level 4 or lower Crystal Beast monster from your deck, but negate its effects. And if you do, add 1 ultimate crystal monster from your deck to your hand, which is Rainbow Dragon. So you banish Rainbow Dragon to special summon a level 4 from your deck, and then you add Rainbow Dragon to your hand, which is really, really good. So, yeah, Over Dragon is a great card. We only really, or sorry, I don't know why I keep calling it Over Dragon. Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon is a very good card. I don't know. I think that this card is fine at 2. I haven't had any problems having it at 2. That way, if you open 1 copy of it, you can always just Sapphire Pegasus to play the other one from your deck, and that helps you thin and do other things like that. I don't think there's a situation where I would play 3 of this. Rainbow Dragon. This card is always treated as an ultimate crystal card. It cannot be normal summoned or set. Must be special summoned from your hand by having 7 Crystal Beast cards with different names on your field and or in your graveyard. That includes in your spell and trap zone. This card cannot activate its effects the turn it is special summoned. As a quick effect, you can send all Crystal Beast monsters you control to the graveyard. This card gains 1,000 attack points for each monster sent to the graveyard. You can banish all Crystal Beast monsters from your graveyard to shuffle all cards on the field into the deck, which is funny. Yeah, so Rainbow Dragon is not like an insanely good card, but it is a card that we get for free off of the Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, and you need it for Awakening of the Crystal Ultimates, so that's fine. Play it at 2 and don't worry about it. 1 for 1. 1 for 1 lets us special summon a Snake Eye Ash. So we get started our chain. Foolish Burial Goods. You use Foolish Burial Goods, which sends a spell trap from your deck to the graveyard to mill Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. More on that later. Rainbow Bridge. Normal spell card, add 1 crystal, spell or trap from your deck to your hand, not once per turn. Absolutely insane. Play it at 3. Love it. Crystal Bond. This is a normal spell card, add 1 Crystal Beast monster from your deck to your hand, and place 1 Crystal Beast monster with a different name from your deck face up in your spell and trap zone as a continuous spell. You can only activate 1 Crystal Bond per turn. That is great. So this card will you just draw either... you will either draw Sapphire Pegasus and then play the Rainbow Dragon so that you can start your Xyz plays, or if you have Golden Rule, you will draw Ruby Carbuncle and play Rainbow Dragon. So this is an excellent card. Play it at 3. It's worth it. Next up, we have Golden Rule. This card is stupid. This card is always treated as a crystal card, which means that you can search it with Rainbow Bridge. It's an equipped spell. It's an equipped spell that does not require a target. So place 2 Crystal Beast monsters from your deck face up in your spell and trap zone as continuous spells. Then special summon 1 Crystal Beast monster from your hand or graveyard with a different name than those cards, and if you do, equip it with this card. When this card leaves the field, destroy that monster. You can only activate 1 Golden Rule per turn. So you will Golden Rule to summon your Ruby Carbuncle, and when you activate Golden Rule, you can play like Sapphire Pegasus and Amber Mammoth in your spell and trap zone. Then when you summon Ruby Carbuncle will activate, and it will special summon the 2 cards that were placed with Golden Rule from your spell and trap zone to your field. So this is like a 1 card, Link 3 or Xyz, rank 4. It's just really, really good. Kyoto Waterfronts. This is a field spell. Every time a card is sent to the graveyard from the field, place 1 Kaiju counter on this card for each sent card, maximum of 5. That's amazing. Once per turn, while 3 or more Kaiju counters are on this card, you can add 1 Kaiju monster from your deck to your hand that does not remove the counters. Again, amazing. If this card would be destroyed by a card effect, you can remove 1 Kaiju counter from this card instead. So, this is a field spell, which means we can search it with Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, and it allows us to draw Gamma Seal. And it also stores counters for Gamma Seal to use to negate cards. Very, very good. Rainbow Bridge of the Heart. This is a continuous spell card. During your main phase, you can normal summon 1 Crystal Beast monster in addition to your normal summoner set. You can only gain this effect once per turn. That's decent. There's not really a whole lot of Crystal Beasts we want to normal summon, but it is nice that we have the option. This card will definitely help you unbrick some very unfortunate hands if you happen to draw more than 1 Crystal Beast. You can only use each of the following effects of Rainbow Bridge of the Heart once per turn. During your main phase, you can destroy 1 Crystal Beast card you control or in your hand, and if you do, add 1 Crystal, Spell, or Trap from your deck to your hand. That's insane. So the Crystal Beast monsters, as I've repeatedly said, are not good. The Crystal, Spell, and Trap cards are good. So being able to destroy, like, say, the Amethyst Cat in your hand so that you can draw Crystal Bond is insane. That fixes your hand. So this is a great card. And then if a Crystal Beast card is placed in your spell and trap zone, even during the damage step, you can target 1 card your opponent controls, return both that card and this card to the hand. So if one of your Crystal Beasts is crystallized either by being destroyed by a card effect and then you choose to crystallize it, by being placed there with Sapphire Pegasus, by being placed there with Crystal Bond, by being placed there with Golden Rule, anytime that you crystallize a card, if your opponent controls a card, you can activate Rainbow Bridge of the Heart's effect and return Rainbow Bridge of the Heart to your hand to bounce that card. Very, very useful effect. It's not like bouncing this card will help you too much, because you can't just replay it and get the effects. All those effects are once per turn, but it does mean that you can get a free bounce, and then potentially this also lets you use that spell and trap zone, which spells and trap zones are very tight for Crystal Beast for obvious reasons. So a continuous spell that can get itself off the field on demand is really nice, actually. Awakening of the Crystal Ultimates. Reveal 1 ultimate crystal monster in your hand, which is Rainbow Dragon. Then activate 1 of these effects. If you control an ultimate crystal monster, you can activate 1 or 2 of these effects in sequence instead and do not have to reveal a monster. Take 1 Rainbow Bridge card or 1 Rainbow Refraction from your deck and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. So you can either add Rainbow Bridge to your hand, or you can dump Rainbow Bridge of Salvation, which is what you will typically do. Or you can special summon 1 Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, graveyard, or spell and trap zone. You can only activate 1 Awakening of the Crystal Ultimates per turn. Being able to special summon Ruby Carbuncle directly from your deck is pretty nice. That's one of the main problems with Golden Rule, is that it can't special summon Ruby Carbuncle from the deck. So Awakening the Crystal Ultimates does give you some useful options. Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils. I didn't go over this card for some reason, even though I went over the rest of the Snake Eyes package. Add a Diabellstar monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand. During your main phase, you can banish this card from your graveyard, target 1 of your Sinful Spoils, spells, or traps that is banished from your graveyard, place it on the bottom of your deck, and then draw a card. So, Diabellstar. So wanted will just add Diabellstar to your hand. Diabellstar discards a card or sends a card from your field to the graveyard to special summon herself. Then she plays original Sinful Spoils Snake Eyes from your deck, which allows you to special summon Snake Eye Ash from your deck, so that you can start your full combo with Diabellstar as an extra monster. So that's that package. Okay, Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. If there are 2 or more different monster types among level 10 or higher monsters on the field, shuffle all cards except this one from both players' hands, fields, and graveyards into the deck, then each player draws 5 cards. That is hilarious. That will never happen. You can banish this card from your graveyard, add 1 Crystal Beast monster, and 1 field spell from your deck to your hand. You can only apply each effect of Rainbow Bridge of Salvation once per duel. That's an interesting idea. So, this card, essentially, if you mill it off of Foolish Burial Goods, or you mill it off of Awakening the Crystal Ultimates, you can banish it to add Ruby Carbuncle or Sapphire Pegasus to your hand, and then you can either draw your Kyoto Waterfront or your Divine Temple of the Snake Eye. And remember, Kyoto Waterfront will draw you Gamma Seal. So this is a very, very good card. You can also use this to get Secret Village of the Spellcasters, and Secret Village of the Spellcasters prevents your opponent from activating spell cards while you control a Spellcaster monster, which Red Eye's Dark Dragoon is a Spellcaster monster. So there are some versions of Crystal Beast that are currently doing that. I have not updated my deck list to include that yet. I'm thinking about it. And then lastly, we have Crystal Miracle. When a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, destroy 1 Crystal Beast card you control, and if you do, negate the activation, and if you do that, destroy that card. If a Crystal Beast card is placed in your spell and trap zone while this card is in your graveyard, even during the damage step, you can banish this card from your graveyard, place 1 Crystal Beast monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard face up in your spell trap zone as a continuous trap spell. Miracle is fantastic. You can add Miracle with Rainbow Bridge. You typically won't. So Crystal Miracle is kind of a card that either you open it and it's really good, or you draw it off of like the second Rainbow Bridge in your hand, usually. But I mean, it's an Omni-Negate, and it's an Omni-Negate at spell speed 3, so that's fantastic. So, and then of course it says destroy a Crystal Beast card you control. That can include your spells and traps. So like if you Sapphire Pegasus into Topaz Tiger, you can destroy the Topaz Tiger that's in your spell and trap zone, and then you just Omni-Negate, which is excellent. So yeah, Crystal Miracle is a good card. All right, for the extra deck, we have Ultimate Crystal Rainbow Dragon Overdrive. This is a fusion of 1 Ultimate Crystal monster plus 7 Crystal Beast monsters. It must be special summoned from your extra deck during a duel. You special summon an Ultimate Crystal monster by banishing the above monsters from your field and or graveyard. So when it says during a duel that you summon an Ultimate Crystal monster, it means that you can't just banish the Rainbow Dragon from your graveyard after milling it. You have to have actually played Rainbow Dragon with its own effect in order for you to do this. The other part that's annoying is it says 7 Crystal Beast monsters. That means that if you have a Crystal Beast in your spawn trap zone, it does not allow you to banish that card. Rainbow Dragon doesn't care. Rainbow Dragon will allow you to summon itself if you have Crystal Beast cards in your spawn trap zone. So Ultimate Crystal Rainbow Dragon Overdrive kind of requires you to destroy your spawn trap zones to summon it. It has 4,000 attack points. While 7 or more of your Crystal Beast monsters with different names are banished, this card gains 7,000 attack points. So you just drop it, it has 11,000 attack points. That will end the game usually. If this card has not battled this turn, as a quick effect, you contribute this card, shuffle as many cards on the field into the deck as possible, and if you do, special summon any number of your banished Crystal Beast monsters. So it's a good card. Whether you go first, whether you go second, this is just a really good card that will allow you to have this really cool effect or this really high attack points. It's just really hard to actually summon it, but I like it. Next up, we have number 41, Baguska the Terribly Tired Tapir. 2 level 4s, once per turn during your standby phase, attach 1 material from this card. If you cannot destroy it, this attack position card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Your opponent cannot target this attack position card with card effects. While this card is in face-up defense position, change all face-up monsters on the field to defense position. Also negate the activated effects of monsters that were in defense position when the effect was activated. So Baguska is a great card to use when you have been interrupted ridiculously much. Like, if you are not in a position where you can reasonably make a board, Baguska will give you a turn usually. It doesn't stop Link monsters, because Link monsters can't be put in defense position, but it stops everything else. And just a skill drain type of card can buy you a turn very easily. So that's a good card. Number 60, Dugar is the Timeless, 2 level 4s. You can detach 2 materials from this card, then activate one of the following effects. Skip your next draw phase, draw 2, then discard 1. Skip your next main phase 1. Also special summon 1 monster from your graveyard in defense position. Skip the battle phase of your next turn. Also double the attack of 1 monster you control until the end of the next turn. You can only use one effective number 60 Dugar as the timeless per turn. So, there are a lot of different ways that you can use Dugaras in this deck. Primarily, it's a great way to restart your Snake Eyes engine if you revive one of your monsters that's already been used. You can also use it to bring back a card like Sargus, and then you can use the Rocky in your graveyard to attach to the Sargus and get some extra extension that way. Dugaris is like a, it's not a card that you would use as any sort of combo. It's just like a card that you will use to recover, usually. Infernal Flame Banshee. This is a rank 4, requires 2 level 4s. It's a Pyro. You can attach 1 material from this card, take 1 Pyro monster from your deck, and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. If this card is banished and you control a Pyro monster, you can special summon this card, and if you do, it gains attack equal to the number of your currently banished monsters until the end of the turn. So Infernal Flame Banshee lets you draw Poplar, which allows you to special summon Poplar, which immediately lets you start your Snake Eyes combo. It's not ideal, but it is a way to kind of play the game if you don't have a good hand. Divine Arsenal AA Zeus the Sky Thunder. Once per turn, if an Xyz monster battled this turn, you can also Xyz summon Divine Arsenal AA Zeus the Sky Thunder by using 1 Xyz monster you control as material, transfer its materials to this card. As a quick effect, you can attach 2 materials from this card, send all other cards on the field to the graveyard, and then once per turn, if another card you control is destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can attach 1 card from your hand, deck, or extra deck to this card as material. So, Divine Arsenal AA Zeus the Sky Thunder is probably one of the most destructive cards in the game. It's very rare that you would make this because typically speaking, you will win the game on the turn that you get to attack. But if you are destructed or if you just can't reasonably win the game, it's a great card that you can make to kind of make sure that you have extension. For those of you that don't understand how Zeus works, Zeus can activate its effects multiple times per turn and even multiple times per chain. So for example, if your opponent has Baronne de Fleur out and they try to negate your Zeus the Sky Thunder with Baronne de Fleur, which would destroy it, if you have 2 more materials, you can activate Zeus's effect as a secondary, like do it again, and then Baronne will be removed from the field. Your Zeus will still be destroyed, but you still get to use the effect. So Zeus is a very hard card to stop from functioning, which is what makes it so powerful. Link Karibo. This requires 1 level 1 monster. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you contribute this card, change that opponent's attack position monster attack monster to 0, and then until the end of the turn, if this card is in the graveyard, as a quick effect, you contribute 1 level 1 monster to special summon this card. This is just a good card to make sure that you can get full value out of your Snake Eyes combo. You will usually link Poplar off into this. Nightmare Phoenix, link to Fire Fiend monster, 2 monsters with different names. If this card is link summoned, you can discard 1 card. Target 1 spell or trap your opponent controls, destroy it, and then if this card was co-linked when you activate this effect, you can draw 1 card. Co-linked monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle. Nightmare Phoenix is useful. We're playing Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Unicorn primarily so that we can discard our Crystal Beast that we get stuck in the hand, because we want to summon Rainbow Dragon and we want to summon Rainbow Dragon Overdrive. So pitching cards from your hand is very important to be able to do. IP Masquerena, 2 non-link monsters. That's very important. So if you're playing Snake Eyes and you link into Link Karibo, you cannot use Link Karibo to make IP Masquerena. During your opponent's main phase, you can, as a quick effect immediately after this effect resolves, link summon 1 link monster you control using materials you control, including this card. You can only use this effect of IP Masquerena once per turn. A link monster that used this card's material cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. Very interesting idea. It's a lingering effect, and being able to protect your monster from being destroyed is really nice. SP Little Knight, 2 effect monsters. If this card is link summoned or using a fusion, synchro, Xyz, or link monster as material, you can target 1 card on the field or in either player's graveyard and banish it. Also, your monsters cannot attack directly this turn. That's cool, so you can use this with IP. You can IP link into Little Knight, and then Little Knight can banish a card, and you don't care about not being able to attack directly because it's not your turn. When your opponent activates a card or effect, as a quick effect, you can target 2 face-up monsters on the field, including a monster you control, and banish both until the end phase. So it's like a DPE effect, but it only works until the end of the turn. It's kind of a nice idea. SP Little Knight is a very good card that's really good at controlling the board, so definitely a card you want to have in your collection and a card that works well in this deck. Nightmare Unicorn, 2 or more monsters with different names. If this card is linked summon, you can discard one card, target one card on the field, and shuffle it into the deck. Then if this card was co-linked, when this effect was activated, you can draw one card, and then this card has another effect that's never going to trigger. So Unicorn is a great card. It's very useful to have as an IP target because you can link into Unicorn during your opponent's turn and then shuffle something your opponent needs back into their deck so that they can't use it. Just a good card all around. Then we get into our 3 link 4s, which are vital for the strategy. Number 1, we have Saryuja Skulldread, 2 or more monsters with different names. This card gains effects based on the number of materials used for its link summon. 2 or more, if a monster is normal or special summoned to a zone this card points to, that monster gains 300 attack and defense points permanently. 3 or more, once per turn during your main phase, you can special summon 1 monster from your hand. And 4 or more, when this card is link summoned, you can draw 4 cards, then place 3 cards from your hand on the bottom of your deck in any order. That's excellent. So, Saryuja lets you shuffle away some cards that you can't use, whether you bounce them back to your hand with your Cobalt Eagle, or whether you return them to your hand with the effect of Gigantic Champion Sargus, or whether you just have already used the card as another, like maybe 2 copies of the same card as once per turn. You take the cards you can't use and you replace them with cards you can use. And then Saryuja has another effect which allows you to special summon a monster from your hand. And that's what makes Gamma Seal our primary target. So Gamma Seal has an Omni-Negate, but it has to be actually on the board to use it, and it can't special summon itself to your side of the field unless your opponent has a Kaiju as well, which they won't on turn 1. So Saryuja lets you just special summon any monster from your hand once per turn, so that means that we can just cheat out the Gamma Seal and get the Omni-Negate live without doing anything else. Very, very useful. Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess. This is a link 4. It requires 2 or more monsters with different names except tokens. You can only control 1 Appaloosa, Bow of the Goddess. The original attack of this card becomes 800 times the number of link materials used for its link summon. Once per chain, when your opponent activates a monster effect as a quick effect, you can make this card lose exactly 800 attack points, and if you do, negate the activation. It doesn't destroy the card, though. So Appaloosa is a great card to make with 4 monsters, to have 3,200 attack points and 4 negates. It's just a good interruption card. And then lastly, we have World Sea Dragon Zealantis. It requires 1 or more effect monsters. You can only control 1 World Sea Dragon Zealantis. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. During your main phase, you can banish all monsters in the field, then special summon as many monsters as were banished by its effect up to their owner's field in face-up or face-down defense position. During the battle phase, as a quick effect, you can destroy cards on the field up to the number of co-linked monsters on the field. So this card is very interesting and allows you to repeat soft once per turn effects. It also allows you to re-trigger your Crystal Beast Sapphire Pegasus to play more cards. And you can acquire this card by linking off your Saryuja Skulldread because it's 1 effect monster. So you can use the link 4 to make it, which is really funny. Anyway, that's the deck. Let's take a look at the replay. Alright, so we're going first. Our hand is Crystal Beast, Sapphire Pegasus, Crystal Bond, Forbidden Droplet, Wanted, Seeker of Sinful Spoils, and Snake Eye Oak, which is not a card that we want in our opening hand. We start with Crystal Bond. We're going to grab the Ruby Carbuncle and play the Overdragon, or Rainbow Dragon. Then we're going to activate Wanted to add Diabellstar. We pitch the Oak from our hand to special summon Diabellstar, and that will let us set the original Sinful Spoils. Then we normal summon Sapphire Pegasus. We'll play the Emerald Taurus from the deck, then pitch it so that we can special summon Snake Eye Ash from our deck with the original Sinful Spoils. Snake Eye Ash effect. When it's summoned, we draw our Poplar. Poplar effect. When it's summoned, special summon it. Poplar secondary. Draw the field spell. Field spell activated. Field spell effect. Play the Oak from the graveyard. Link the Poplar into Link Karibo. Ash effect, pitch Oak in itself, special summon the Flamberge Dragon from the deck. Then we link Flamberge Dragon and Diabellstar off into IP Massey Arena. Flamberge Dragon effect, we play all 3 of our Snake Eye monsters from the graveyard with the Oak. Wanted effect, banish itself from the graveyard, put the OSS on the bottom, draw a card. Then we're going to link 4 Karibo and the 3 Snake Eyes monsters into a into Saryuja Skulldread. And Saryuja Skulldread will let us draw a bunch of cards. Then we're going to activate Poplar's Effect to play the Flamer's Dragon from our graveyard. We send the field spell to the graveyard to activate Kyoto Waterfront, and then we'll activate Rainbow Bridge to draw our Golden Rule. Saryuja special summons the Gamma Seal. Then we're going to activate Overdragon's Effect, banish it to special summon the Topaz Tiger from the deck, draw Rainbow Dragon. Activate Golden Rule, play 2 monsters from the extra deck, and then special summon the Emerald Taurus from the graveyard. Then we link these 3 monsters along with our IP into Appaloosa. Okay. So our end board, we have 5 counters on Kyoto Waterfront. That means we have 2 Omni-Negates. We have Saryuja with Appaloosa. Oh, wait, hold on. I'm going to link. I link Saryuja into Zealantis. We have Zealantis pointing to Appaloosa. Appaloosa has 4 negates for monsters. And then Zealantis can destroy 2 cards during the battle phase. We also have Forbidden Droplet to negate monster effects. And importantly, Forbidden Droplet can also let us send cards from our field to the graveyard, which means that we can add more counters to Kyoto Waterfront to give us more Omni-Negates with Gamma Seal. Also, we have... no, that's it. Okay, great. We also have the Rainbow Dragon in our hand if we need to pitch it with the Forbidden Droplet. It is our opponent's turn. We're going to start with Harpy's Feather Duster. We will negate that. They're going to Raigeki. We negate that. We're down to 1 counter on the Kaiju, though. Opponent activates Chain Energy, and then they special summon Dinotherium from their hand, which lets us bring back our Sapphire Pegasus. Then he's going to play another Chain Energy and go into the battle phase to try and attack us. You know, he pops his own guy. We activate World Sea Dragon's Zealantis' effect, pop our 2 face down cards. It's a Magic Cylinder. So he's playing Burn. It's our turn. And we kill him. There you go. Alright, so, you know, with just a couple of cards in our opening hand, we were able to summon Appaloosa for 4 negates. We got 2 Omni-Negates, which saved us from both the Harpy's Feather Duster and the Raigeki. We still had the Forbidden Droplet. We still had Zealantis. You know, there were a lot of ways that we could have stopped any sort of interruption. My name is Sarafi. I was thrilled to have all of you with me.